Hello, I'm Spike, and welcome back to Ex Officina. This is Self-Taught Japanese in Rosetta Stone 3, and I'm back. Just another quick update, quick explainer. This is a reproduction of episode 115. As mentioned in 114 and the video prior to that, I had already done this video, except it was just this frame, but the whole screen, and was missing Rosetta Stone itself and all these lovely modules and their pictorials, their slide work and such. And I only noticed in yesterday's live stream and consequent video upload of episode 116, which is why this says in progress for the listening module, which is this one here, because I noticed halfway through it. And doing so, realizing my mistake, obviously immediately just stopped streaming, apologized, came off, and now I'm having to reproduce these videos. I've already this morning redone the reading module. So this one is now the writing module. Now, these two modules, the actual lesson and the repeat from this section here, should be quite short. It's only 5 minutes, and it only focuses on 2 of the hiragana, centers around them for its exercises, and it's relatively swift. So I envisage that this stream and this video will be quite short in reproduction. But yeah, just at the top of the episode, just thought I'd let you know as to why this is going up for a second time if you watched the first time around, and why it might seem a little bit shorter and a little bit more streamlined, because I've already gone through it once before, and I do remember some of what I said and commentated on in the previous video. Plus, also, I'm not encountering the work for the first time now that I've returned and I'm back to making this content after being ill at the start of the year, because I'm not encountering it for the first time. So I've already seen the answer, I already know what to expect, and so on and so forth. So my apologies if it's not the first time round for you to see this and be invested in these 2 writing modules here that I'm going to be doing in this video, but that's the reason why. Anyway, without further ado, I suppose I should crack on and start doing these modules. So we'll start off with this one here with the writing. Yes, I want to continue my current progress because I still want this. The microphone is still set up for this program, and as we can see, I already got the score. So just before we begin, as usual with every video, show you that I have my reference sheets ready and ready to go. So this is the hiragana alphabet that I have. Obviously, I have my numbers and tenses list. These all need, again, another rewrite to be a little bit more neat, because they've had some liquidy spills on them thanks to myself and my daughter not being amazingly careful in this room. So there are some splashes on there. And then the third is obviously we've got the days of the week. We've got some sentences over here with the smelly, it tastes good, it tastes bad, delicious, this seasons, some example sentences, day, week, month, year, and then some examples here. And then at the bottom, we've got a reference to what is the positive and what is the negative that happens in a sentence here. And in the listening module, I will just let you know, these 2 sentences at the bottom with the positive do actually show up, because I think that's actually, there were 2 pictorial slides for part of the lessons in that module that I actually have encountered prior. And it's the prior ones that I'd done that I wrote in on my reference sheet about the positive and the negative. Oh, excuse me. I am getting juiced up with the monster and the caffeine, but I wrote them down as an aid to memory that I'm encountering what is positive and what is negative, what determines both in the positioning in the sentencing, and then it's starting to appear more regularly in the module material in the work. So just a heads up for that for the next lesson. Right, let's begin in writing module. These are short because they are quite quick to go through, and it concentrates on one section.
妹、
E, E, E. Oh, I was just going to say I've not... Why is this now not wanting to pick up? It's picking up there. It's not picking up in the program. Why are you not picking up in the program? Let's make sure that we have. Where is it? Can I? Ichi, ni, san, yon, go. I did wonder why this didn't actually come through to start with. Apply the changes. We're going back to the writing. Yes, continue my current progress. Let's see if that helps.
妹、い、
E. E. No, it's not picking it up. Why is it not picking it up all of a sudden? Huh? I don't understand. Imoto. It has done this once before, and I'm not entirely sure why. Let me just stick us on close. I'm just going to close that for now and see if that actually makes a difference. And then I'm going to, bear with me, reopen Rosetta Stone. See, these are some of the issues that I encounter with this program. I've gone on break. I've not done anything different. I've left everything open and just not streaming. Everything is as it should be. And then this happens where for some reason it decides to go, nah, you're not doing that today. So let me just Ichi ni san yon go. No, okay. It's something is taking my microphone and I don't know why. Why is it not allowing my microphone to be picked up all of a sudden? This is ridiculous. I hate this. I hate this. This is working literally a second ago. This is where you're now going to see me getting frustrated and off. Because this shouldn't be happening. You've all just witnessed me be able to stream. So why all of a sudden this is now not wanting to bring any of this out and through? I don't know. I hope I don't have to stop OBS for Rosetta Stone to capture my microphone. Don't be a douche. I swear to God, if it does this, I'm probably going to cry. Come on. Ichi ni san yon go. It was successful. Right, let's see if it'll pick it up now.
妹、い、
E.
い、も、
Right, now that I know that it works, let me get back to where we're at. Okay, so I managed to get it to pick up the microphone again. Finally, even though I went through all that setup work prior and it's all working beforehand. Now my daughter's tablet's going off. What is going on today? Why is there an alarm for 12? There should be an alarm for her for 12 because the tablet's here while she's at school. Oh dear. Right. Back to the task in
妹、
hand.
い、
E. There we go.
い、も、
Mo.
も、う、
U.
う、と、
To.
と、妹、
Imoto.
妹、
Fabulous. So yeah, because the writing is more of a backwards and forwards in the speaking of what you've already done in the reading. Obviously, this is another set of slides, like I said in the previous session, in the previous lesson video, that this is where you want to start writing out, using these sessions to write out your own reference sheet for the hiragana alphabet, with the obviously English backwards and forwards translations, so that you can actually get a grasp outside of the program material resources in your own hand what the syllables and the soundings are for these instances of hiragana, I find that that's an easier manual method to be able to aid your memory in remembering what's what. Let's go to slide 2. Oh, yes.
い、
E.
い、も、
More.
も、
So again, you get the close-up of the actual symbol itself, and then obviously the sounding of said hiragana symbol. Go to slide 3.
も、
Mo.
も、い、
E. And then obviously we've got the selectable. You can see why this is quite an easy module to go through. Let's go to slide 4. And then we have to type it, which E,
い、
I, Mo, M-O.
も、
Again, the association attribution of constant repetition in this manner is very similar to me not wanting to move on unless I 100% everything. It forces you to not just commit it to memory, is the term I'm looking for, committing it to memory, the actual information, but it's forcing you to recycle and go through it again so that it sticks, because you're doing it on numerous occasions whilst trying to commit it to memory. So it's kind of like when you burn a CD. You think you're burning one track in one lane on a CD when in fact the laser's probably doing 3 or 5, which is why when you scratch a disc, it can still read it for quite a number of times before it the scratches start to beat the tracking on the CD, because there are actually 5 tracks that a laser can read of the information all interpolated with each other as it's burnt onto the disc. So you don't just get the one track that's burnt once on it. That one burning of that one track is actually 3 or 5 channels of that track that's been burnt there, so that there's like a backup of a backup of a backup, so it can still be read. It ensures the fidelity and strength of the information for when it reads it. And the brain works in a very similar manner. Let's go to slide 5, get halfway, and it changes to our next word, which we then concentrate on until like slide 9, and then it joins both at the end, if I remember. Let's do a toto.
弟を、
O.
お、と、
To.
と、う、
U.
う、と、
To.
と、弟、
Ototo.
弟、
Brilliant. So again, yes, we can start to you can start to extrapolate these hiragana characters and the Western English translation, the syllabic pronunciation, etc., of these symbols and the word itself onto a reference sheet for later use or for outside use, as it's individualized each one. And it also helps in aiding, like I said in the previous video, if you remember subtitles with a bouncing ball or karaoke with a bouncing ball, it helps you to particulate each word and then therefore a sentence in Japanese, so that when you're teaching yourself it or looking at materials like this, it makes it easier to break it up into manageable chunks. They give you times to recall the memory of what you've learned, to place it in being able to read the language or understand the language, as well as define where the structures are for either individual words or the sentence as a whole. And as a result, being able to break it up grammatically allows you to find, like what I've mentioned I do before, where I'm focusing on the main words that I need to know or that I want to know, that I'd say are the placeholders for understanding. So like brother or sister or the house or the color of something, that are the hooks in the sentence that I know can be plugged in and out of that sentence to then change what I'm talking about when it comes to Japanese. Obviously, I'm still not doing that necessarily at speed, but it allows me to focus on the important bits of a sentence. Like, if imagine in English, focusing on this person did this. You want to focus on the person. You want to focus on what they did, the action, etc. You don't want to focus on the, is, and like the filler words that sort of join the structure of the sentence together to make it make sense. Because although those nouns are necessary, you want to focus on the doing stuff and the subject or object, because they're the important bits, right? And no doubt, anyone who has English as a second language probably does something very similar, considering how convoluted and complicated English actually is when it comes to structure, slang, shortening words, and so on and so forth, that just doesn't necessarily happen in other languages. And if it does, they don't just shorten the words, they just have an entirely new word for the short form version of what they're saying to condense it, right? Which obviously doesn't necessarily, that's why we have odd translations with various languages when it comes to certain meanings of words, or how sentences don't necessarily translate correctly back into English, because the meaning gets misconstrued because their shorthand version has a slightly different meaning of something. It's like using a thesaurus to come up with a more colourful explanation of a word that's descriptive, when the standard word would already do. But if you wanted to be posh or upmarket or a little bit more nuanced, you'd use a word out of the thesaurus, but they all mean the same thing, you know, that sort of stuff.
お
Or let's continue.
おと
To,
とう
u.
う
Fabulous. I'm going to move on again because, again, these are a little hard to replicate backwards and forwards in these videos when you're wanting to rinse and repeat and test yourself.
う
U,
うお
o,
おと
to.
と
Fantastic. Number 8. This is where we've got to type them out, baby. Let's do some typing. So, top, T-O,
と
U, which is the U,
う
and O, it's just O. O.
お
Fantastic. And you go slide 9. Let's get speeding on. Here we are. Let's do the old
と
type and select. Hot is at the
Mo.
bottom. Mo, we know is the fish hook.
う
U is the backward C with the hat.
い
E is our double liner.
お
O is our curly with the hat. So there we go. We've got to,
と
U,
う
E,
い
O. Oh yeah, that's right.
も
It doesn't. I remember this slide. This slide doesn't play out the O when you're clicking it. I'm clicking the hell out of this. This whole area is selectable, and yet it will not play the audio file. But it does for
も
this one. I'm going to
Mo.
over the button, and this
E,
one over the button, this one over the button,
to.
this one over the button. See what I mean? Little gremlins and glitches and bugs and stuff in this program, because it is that old and it was way ahead of the game for its time. That's why I'm still using it, because I love it. And old school. I like my old school programs because I'm getting old, and everyone likes living in their golden years, right?
妹
Imoto. So imoto.
弟
Oto. Fabulous. And there's our writing lesson complete. That's the lesson 2. So that's the first one. Now let's get up to date with the lesson 1 repeat that's from this section. So this one should be a little bit easier. Yes, I'm going to continue my current progress. It gives us the stops with the score I got before. Now, again, you can see that with the first lesson, it focused on the harder stuff, and we're going back to the easier stuff. The easiest stuff from the lesson 1 is the more simpler, more basic. Oh, here's your street, here's Japan, here's the town, here's a color.
日本
Quite easy stuff. Ni,
にほ
ho,
ほ、ん、
ん,
日本、
Nihon.
日
Beautiful.
本、
So again, these are slides that I would recommend, or at least videos I would recommend, going back through some of my prior playlists in the Learn Japanese playlist stuff, that these are the ones that you'd want to use to build your alphabet of understanding for your reference sheet, because they are perfectly sliced up, giving you individual hiragana to be able to reference with the English translation for the syllables of how it's pronounced. These are the ones that are probably the best to pick out to practice learning, writing the hiragana and giving yourself the actual representation of what they are in English so that you can practice your speech with them, your pronunciation. Then at least coming into the more complicated slides, the more complicated sentence work and the grammar work that comes in between some of these slides, it makes it a little bit easier to grasp when you're practice going in because you've got this breakdown. It also makes, like I mentioned, makes it easier to read in breaking it down in the moment as well, because you can actually see and separate the hiragana symbols themselves.
に、
Ni, slide 2,
Ni.
must mention.
ほ、
Hot,
ほ、ん、
Nihon. Fabulous. Let's go slide 3. Get that mark out the way.
ん、
Now we got to select them.
に、
Ni.
に、
We are the
Ho.
lights to say ni.
ほ、
Oh, I don't know why it just reminded me of Monty Python and the Holy Grail, but yes, the lights to say ni. Fabulous. Let's go slide 4. This is our typing exercise. So our first one is hot. Our next
Ho.
one is our n. That's probably one of the most easily recognizable and sounding Japanese characters out there for hiragana, the n, because it is an n, it's an h and an n. It's an h with a curly flick of an n in it. And ni. So how can we forget the nights to say ni? Fabulous. All right, let's go to number 5. One of my favorite words in the Japanese language, koen. I think it's just because I like parks and open spaces, but
公園、こ、
ko,
こ、う、
u,
う、え、
e,
え、ん、
n.
ん、
Lovely.
公園、
Koen.
公園、
There we go. So we're just about to hit past the halfway point because this is the halfway point. So you can imagine this is the start. We are just going to rinse and repeat the same 3 exercises prior, but with koen. So we go to slide 6. Here we have our breakdown. The first 3.
こ、
Ko,
こ、う、
u,
う、え、
e.
え、
It kind of should be a pronunciation and speaking rather than a writing module, but it's purely because it's getting us to remember these characters to write for later on. Let's go to slide 7.
え、
Selectables. Then we go identifiable selecting.
こ、
Ko,
こ、う、
u.
う、
Lovely stuff. So 8 should be our writing. Is that our typing? Yes, it is. So u,
う、
e,
え、
ko.
こ、
Lovely stuff. We go to slide 9. Now we got all of them. Now let's see if we can get these right.
ほ、
So hot. Here, yeah, hot.
う、
U, e, u,
ん、
n. Okay, it should be
Ko.
earlier. Ko is ko.
に、
Ni hot
E.
and here we go. Sorry, I had to think about that for a second. I was getting caught up, just double taking myself. Like, what? My brain decided to go blank. But that's why I keep repeating these lessons, is so that it goes in and it sticks, and it's always worth doing. So ko,
ko,
n,
n,
ni,
ni,
u. Oh yeah, the bottom row doesn't
e,
want to select here for u. There we go.
e,
And then ho.
ho,
And look, I am clicking the hell out of this. Click, 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 click. You can see it's all selectable, and yet it does not want to place. It's got to be a pixel somewhere where that's been squared off to be able to trigger, but it's not triggering, so I can't trigger it. Let's go to slide 10, and we'll type these out.
Nihon,
So, ni, ho, n,
koen,
ko, u, e, n. And there we have it. 35 correct out of those. Let's return to the home screen, because that's now the end of the writing module video. Lovely stuff. So again, apologies for having to reproduce this video. But here we are. We're at the end of that writing module stuff. So I'm nearly back on track with where I was from yesterday before I noticed my mistake. That's good news. And I've done it just before time, which is great. So yeah, here we are. Like I say, good tips in these particular, the reading module, the writing module, and now the listening module, from what I've noticed, is they're the best place to take the hiragana themselves and write yourself out a reference sheet for your own leisure and your own usage, outside of any materials, outside of any program, because then you're practicing writing the actual hiragana, you're practicing writing out the phonetic or syllabic translation into English of what that letter or that character means, or how it is said. As a result, you can then identify it over and over again, commit it to memory, blah, 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 practice with it. But also you'll be able to identify where it is happening in words and in sentences, which will give you a place marker from what you do know to see where you are grammatically in a sentence, structurally in a sentence, whether it's the start of a gap, the beginning of a word, the end of a word, whether it's, all that good stuff that will help break down the material that's coming through here to make it easier to read and supplant the Japanese language as you're trying to learn it in this casual manner like I am. Or at least that's what I found in my intuitive sense in breaking down how I've been taking in the Japanese through how this program's trying to teach me, and how I am picking up and learning these patterns, because it is pattern recognition at the end of the day. I'm committing it to memory, and then obviously the process through which I go through to make sure that I'm getting these correct and minimizing my mistakes. And then even if I am making mistakes, I'm able to rectify those mistakes. Okay. At least that's what I'm hoping to show with these videos. It's why I'm not saying they're necessarily instructional. They are my documentation of me casually teaching myself Japanese, which is why it's self-taught Japanese in Rosetta Stone 3. Right, that's it for this particular video for the writing modules. That's both of them over and done with. As I mentioned, I have one more left to produce, which is the listening module. That's why you can see it's still in progress from yesterday, or now today, because obviously I engaged it and started it at the very top of episode 114 when I didn't mean to. So this is episode 115. That's the writing modules. That's them done. Thank you for sticking around and showing your support, whether you're watching, whether you're listening in the background, whether you're watching later on when everything has been uploaded, regardless of what channel you're on. Your support is very much appreciated. It means a great deal to me, and to the support of what's going on here with my business, the projects, the stream, the channels, etc. So very much appreciate that. Thank you very much for your continued support, and I hope everyone does keep coming back and keeps giving out and sharing out to people. On that note, please like, follow, share, and subscribe. It means a great deal. It does mean that things will be getting out there a little bit more. Those who enjoy the Japanese language, who might want to learn the Japanese language, those who might have a limited budget or can't access certain things but can watch a YouTube video or a Twitch stream, this is probably the content for you and them, or them if you prefer. Again, it's an easy way to come in and have some material that's easy to follow, easy to come in. You can pause it at your leisure. You can fast forward or rewind at your leisure. You can take the mick out at your leisure. I hope I'm being entertaining enough for it to not seem like it's a lesson, because I'm certainly not trying to put it across as a lesson as such. It's just me documenting my casual approach to teaching myself Japanese. I'm just hoping people are finding the material and stuff enjoyable, but it is aimed towards those who have an interest in this, who might want to learn a new language, who might want to learn and teach themselves Japanese, because again, lessons are expensive, subscriptions to apps can be expensive. Purchasing this software, I remember back in the day, being incredibly expensive. Even though things were a lot cheaper back then, this was still a good few £100 for this particular program and this particular pack alone. So it can be quite a pricey endeavor to learn a new language unless you're in school or college and you can take it as a lesson and so on and so forth. So I'm hoping that this is helpful and useful to people out there who are wishing to find an easy way to get into learning the language, and also having some of the work taken out for you, because I know what it can be like, where sometimes you want to learn a language, maybe your learning style isn't quite fit for a standard model of learning or teaching method. So you would like some of the bump of being taught things taken out. You just want to know how it works, because you just want to get on with it. I'm hoping that I'm able to provide that with this material. At least I think I am. Thanks to my own mental health and neurodivergence, makes it a bit easier to take some of that bump out, because I don't need the bump. That's what bogs me down and gets me frustrated. So I'm just pattern recognizing what's going on here and then commentating on the things I've noticed and the things that I'm noticing in my own understanding of the language, which is obviously growing and changing day by day as I do this material, as well as helping myself to a good old phone translation and just double checking. It's not just Google, it's not just AI, it is looking at some of the Japanese forums, some of the Rosetta Stone forums, some of the language stuff that I have from a dedicated Asian language server on Discord, etc. Just to make sure that what I then say when I do search something up is correct, because my assumptions and guesses so far have been pretty spot on, but they are very generic and not always they're spot on, but they're not accurate. Do you know what I mean? Like it's very much a tourist encountering the phrase book in my assumption of the translation, and then obviously I'm trying to tighten that up with when I grab the phone. So that's going to be all from me today. Thank you very much for tuning in. As always, like, follow, share, and subscribe. You can find this channel and me at twitch.tv/xofficina and youtube.com/xofficina. If you find me on one, you can find me on the other. And anything you want to say, comment in the video below that's relevant to whichever exercise, whichever lesson, whichever unit that you happen to be watching or enjoying at the time. Failing that, you can contact me direct if you join the Discord server. Again, everything on this channel, or on both my channels actually, are free. It's just links galore, and they're all free to go check out and join. So hit up the Discord server, join on there, and read the rules, and you'll be able to just message and directly message me on there. It's probably the best place to get a hold of me, unless obviously you're going for a business email, which my email is in the YouTube description. But other than that, I hope that this episode has found your fancy, has tickled those learning hairs on the old brain, and that you'll come and join me back for some more in the next one. So with that aside, I suppose this is going to be me signing off. So as always, take care, stay safe, keep sane, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.